presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
Last night in the Magic City, the Marlins fell behind 4-1 to Arizona. Deep left field and gone, way gone. Marcell Ozuna has homered in 3 consecutive games.
Oh my, he jumped all over this thing. The ball is punished.
Line drive base hit. Johnson scores. Maria will score. 42 and still going strong.
Which I mean, said, oh, what a call. Ichiro t-shirt day. He's got to get a knock on Ichiro day.
Change up, Yelich drills it. Right field and deep. And gone. Upper tank. Solo shot. 6-4 Fish. Tonight, Jose Fernandez takes the ball, and the Marlins try to stay on a roll against the Diamondbacks. Kind of a cloudy, overcast, and rainy day in Miami. As it turns in tonight, the Marlins and the Diamondbacks get ready for Game 2 of a 3-game set. Big win, big come-from-behind win by the Marlins last night. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside. Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. 2 significant things about the win last night. For the Marlins, it keeps the momentum of that terrific road trip going, and it's a win at home, Preston. They haven't done much of that.
Well, you want to keep that momentum going, but winning at home is paramount in the big leagues. You have to be able to control your own destiny in your home ballpark. Take care of home first. You hear it all the time. This is where the magic happens. You hope to play even on the road and do your damage at home. Part
of the fun of last night, the lineup. Don Mattingly had JT Realmuto in the leadoff spot, and guess what? He's back in there. What do you think of Miami's lineup tonight?
I like the lineup with Realmuto up top, Prado hitting second, Yelich in the 3-hole who's swinging the bat incredibly well. Stanton fourth, Dietrich fifth, Ozuna hitting sixth. Echeverria moved up one out of that 8-hole hitting seventh. Rojas hitting eighth, and then Jose Fernandez in the 9-hole.
And as Mattingly told us, if Justin Bour were healthy, he dislocated a finger last night. X-rays were negative. It would be Bour in the lineup and Dietrich up in the leadoff spot. But Bour is out tonight, so Dietrich hits behind Stanton. Let's talk Jose Fernandez. What are you looking for tonight from Jose?
I'm looking for him to get off to a fast start. He's been slow starting lately. I want to see the walks down and see the command a lot better. That's what I think will propel him into getting on that good roll that we've seen him have in the past.
Last 2 starts, 2 first-inning runs in both of those starts. Jose on his way in, as he'll make start number 6 as the Fish get ready to go. The right strings. Don Mattingly, little ins and outs, some subtle moves have paid off in a big way. Marlins and Diamondbacks right around the bend. Onera. Jose Fernandez in the dugout. Little kiss to mom, who's up in that front row. Let's go out to center field. Not in the front row, but, well, close out in center field. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine.
You know, Rich, it wasn't too long ago where the Marlins were 5-11, and we heard Don Mattingly say, you know, we're not that far away. We just haven't gotten a big out here or a big hit there. But boy, has he been pulling the right pieces with his puzzle, if you will, and putting guys in the right spot. And sure enough, things have turned around, and the Marlins are over 500.
Yeah, I think that the hallmark of a good manager is putting his players into a position to succeed. And Don Mattingly is making some gut decisions. He's flipping around the lineup a little bit. You saw GT Realmuto in the leadoff spot for the first time in his life last night, doing a great job there. Rojas in the 8th spot tonight. Echeverria goes up 1. Just the way you push the buttons, the way you use your pinch hitters, the way you use your bullpen. And I think he's doing a great job.
And credit, of course, to his coaching staff. A lot of these things are collective decisions. The manager usually gets all the pats on the back and also the groans from the crowd when things don't work out. Marcell Ozuna, he had him in the number 2 spot, got a look, moved him out of there. Prado, he's kept in that number 2 spot. Phelps in that 8th inning role.
Yeah, I think those are great decisions that he made. Ozuna just wasn't comfortable in that number 2 spot for whatever reason. Let's move him down and let him get hot, and he did exactly that.
And man, Phelps has done a great job. Bearclaw up in that 7th role, and tonight he'll take a look at Jose Fernandez, and OT can set the tone for the Marlins and try and clinch another series in the middle game of this 3-gamer. Coming up next, the Snakes and the Fish.
This start always adds to the fun. And it's Fernandez who takes aim at this Diamondbacks lineup. Preston Wilson's brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
At the top, Phil Gosselin, Jake Lamb, and Paul Goldschmidt. David Peralta, Brandon Drury, Yasmani Tomas in the middle. Chris Herman, Nick Ahmed, and Ruby De La Rosa is the pitcher.
Very nice. First pitch. Fastball in on Gosselin. He fouls it off, and this ball game is underway. There's Jose's numbers. Not Jose-like, with the ERA of over 4. And in his last 2 starts on the road, Los Angeles and San Francisco, he gave up 2 runs in both first innings. Fastball zips in at 95 for a strike. And the count's 0-2. Jake Lamb, Paul Goldschmidt follow for the Diamondbacks. Gene Segura is still out with a sore hip out of Chip Hale's lineup.
Out.
We have one and 2 to Gosselin. Breaking ball fought off. Gosselin in the leadoff spot last night. Last night the Diamondbacks jumped out to a 4-1 lead. And then the Marlins in the 6th inning came roaring back against Patrick Corbin. Chip Hale's bullpen wobbled at the end. Slider dugout. Real Muto throws him out. And so Jose, a strikeout right out of the gate. Defensively, Miami tonight. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton in the outfield. Prado, and look who's at first. Derek Dietrich. Miguel Rojas is at second. Danny Echeverria at short. JT Real Muto behind the plate. Justin Bour dislocated pinky on his left hand, glove hand, but top hand when he hits. And right now listed as day-to-day. Lamb fouls a pitch off. And it's 0-1. That's why you see Dietrich at first and Rojas at second. As Paul Goldschmidt gets ready. A little more traditional uniform tonight by the Diamondbacks. They were all in the dark grays last night. 8 different combinations for Chip Hale and the Snakes.
Ball out. 2-1.
Got good plate sound with Greg Gibson behind home plate. And Hickok at first, Mike Estabrook at second, Dana DeMuth is at third.
Back-to-back changeups. Usually don't see Jose double up on the changeup against left-handed batters. I think he should use that pitch more than the breaking ball. That breaking ball sometimes has a tendency to fall in the sweet spot for those lefties down and in. That changeup has the down and away action. I think he's going to miss more left-handed bats with that pitch.
2-2. Wow. The run on that.
3-2.
And it was at the knees and over the plate, but as you saw, Real Muto really struggled to corral that one. So the count's 3-2. Another changeup. And stays at 3-2. Jose so good at home. And this is his 29th career start at Marlins Park. 18-1. And an ERA of a $1.50. Breaking ball stroked into right field, and that's a base hit. Stanton over to pick it up. Jake Lamb has a hit.
That's that spot that I was talking about, the breaking ball that comes into the swing of the left-hander. Usually an off-speed pitch gives a hitter trouble because he runs out of bat. It's going away from him. When the breaking ball's coming into you, you can be out front and still get barrel on the ball because the ball is somewhat chasing you. As opposed to that changeup that goes away, you end up hitting that off the end. This one comes right into your swing.
As a hitter, you'd rather have it chase you, not you chase it.
Absolutely. That's why righties have such trouble with right-handers breaking ball, because it's off speed, so you may be out front, but then the action is taking the ball away from you, so you run out of bat.
Remember that, kids. Here's Paul Goldschmidt now. Runner goes, pitch a strike. Real Muto's throw is waiting on it. My goodness, the fastest pop time in Major League Baseball last year on average belonged to that man, JT Real Muto. And pop time is pop of his glove to the pop of the second baseman's glove.
Does he get a strike for that too? Because I think we just saw 2 strikes on the same play. That's an absolute beauty down to second base. When you're stealing a base and you see that happen, that ball pretty much tags you. It's just waiting on you, just like, oh, God, here we go.
Ball.
It's over.
2-1.
Slider misses low, and it's 2-1 to a dangerous hitter. Real Muto has had a nice year throwing from behind home plate. Goldschmidt chases. 2-2.
Watching the ball hit the middle infielder's glove before you've even begun your slide and popping up to the catcher are the 2 slowest deaths in baseball.
Fastball right by him, and he dialed up 96. No first inning issues here. Jose looks sharp. We're scoreless. got to get the catcher's gear off and get into the on-deck circle. JT Realmuto is leading off for Miami tonight. The rest of the lineup brought to you by U-Health Sports Medicine and Preston Wilson.
JT Realmuto, Martin Prado, Christian Yelich are the top three. The middle, Stanton, Dietrich, Ozuna. Bottom three, Echeverria, Rojas, and Jose Fernandez.
Ruby De La Rosa can bring it. His numbers don't reflect how well he's pitched in his last 2 starts. You see at the bottom, he's beaten Miami twice, and his last 2 times out, he was outstanding. Gave up just 1 earned run in 13 innings against the Pirates and the Cardinals. And his fastball is in to Realmuto. JT last night banged a double in the first and a sac fly. Smokes one up the middle. Diving stop by Ahmed. There's no way he'll get Realmuto. Now, sometimes when you dive, you lose your batting glove. Sometimes you might lose a bag of sunflower seeds.
Sometimes you need a snack out there, Rich. You know, get some long innings. Got to take a snack with you.
Wait a minute, it's first inning.
Last night, Ahmed took away a base hit up the middle. And look at him just jump out his back pocket there.
The seeds came out, everything. The bag popped open. Ahmed is a terrific shortstop, one of the best in baseball. So Realmuto's got another hit. That's a 9-game streak. He's got 17 hits in that span. Prado's on an 8-game streak, and he's up now. Martin 1 for 5 last night. And his average has dipped just below 400. But of course, Prado has been at the top or near the top of the batting charts. Right now at 398, he starts the day on top. Daniel Murphy has 4 hits, or had 4 hits this afternoon, so he and Prado now tied at 398. De La Rosa ready, 1-1 coming. Realmuto not a big lead. He's running. Pitch is in and out on a head-first slide. Chris Herman throws out JT Realmuto. And Martin Prado right now is upset. I'm not sure what's going on at home plate. Prado and Greg Gibson, they didn't exchange words, but Prado's been staring into the dugout. And I'm not sure what the issue is.
2-1.
Here's a look first at the tag. Prado a chopper. Ahmed keeps the seeds in his pocket and gets the out.
It makes you wonder if maybe it was a hit and run or something right there.
Or maybe Prado thought they were going to review it and he was waiting for the Marlins to take a look at the videotape. Anyways, there's 2 outs, and here comes the Snakes defense, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. There's Manny Tomas, David Peralta out in center field, Brandon Drury's in right, Jake Lamb, Paul Goldschmidt on the corners, Nick Ahmed and Phil Goslin had a nice night defensively last night. Chris Herman, the last 2 times out, has caught De La Rosa with success, so he's back there tonight. And here is Christian Yelich. The last pitch he saw last night was the dreaded changeup from Tyler Clippard, and he blasted it off the facing of the second deck, 437 feet, according to Hit Tracker Online. Pitch is out.
If you missed it, you missed a thing of beauty.
Yelich sends that one screaming down the third base line. And the count is 2-2. Yes, fly Avianca next to the F upper There it is. A little dent. Two now to Yelich. Got a fastball, shoots it to left. Tomas is there, and he makes the catch. So Ruby De La Rosa and Jose Fernandez are through the first, scoreless.
Béisbol está disponible en español a través del SAP y es presentado a ustedes por Kendall Toyota y West Kendall Toyota.
In Miami tonight, game 2, the 3-game set. Marlins a comeback win last night. Jose misses outside, a changeup to David Peralta. Diamondbacks center fielder tonight in the cleanup spot. He did not play last night, or did not start last night, against Justin Nicolino, who ended up getting the win and is now 2-0 in 2 starts this year. Peralta fouls that one off. Peralta coming up in the Cardinals organization, an incredible story of a pitcher who had serious shoulder issues, did not play for 2 years, and then went to independent ball and played for 3 seasons, got discovered, and now he's in the big leagues. As Stanton runs down that line drive. You can join the Fish family today and choose from a full season ticket plan at just $6 a game. Half season plans and 3 great 20-game mini plans as well. All season tickets include entry into Fish family loyalty programs and guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park. Go to marlins.com/season tickets. Brandon Drury is next with Yasmani Tomas on deck. This is a very good hitting team. The Diamondbacks have some pop. And of course, they play in a great hitter's park. So it's no surprise their extra base hit total is the 2nd most in baseball. 100 of them already. St. Louis leads 104. The Rockies are 3rd, which, you know, it's interesting. Right now, the National League offensive numbers seem to be superior to the American League, which is never the case. With the DH and the pitcher hitting in the National League, the DH over the American League. It almost sounds like we have Greg Gibson might.
It does.
Which is actually pretty cool.
He's projecting from the diaphragm very well tonight, Rich.
Maybe he's taking some broadcasting courses.
3-2 to Brandon Drury, a young talent, just 23, and one of the top prospects for the Diamondbacks. Came over in that big trade with the Braves. Pulls it foul. Just by a guy that showed up with him in that trade from the Braves, Martin Prado. Our BMW Mini player profile. Grants Pass, Oregon. Impressive if you've never been there. It is beautiful. Known for his work ethic and walking in the second inning. Not in that order.
Acquired from Atlanta in the 7-play trade with Justin Upton. But when you see that noted for work ethic, they say that he is the baseball version of a gym rat. He will stay in the cage. He'll stay taking ground balls. He'll stay in the video room. Anything to do with baseball, he is all in. My kind of guy.
Well, Grants Pass, Oregon is a fun town. Up in the southern part of Oregon. Tomas fouls it back. And it's 0-1. Yasmani Tomas, a big Cuban slugger. Diamondbacks will be counting on him for some time. Contract he signed out of Cuba takes him through 2020. And a pretty healthy chunk of change as well. His first year in the big leagues was last year for Chip Hale. 9 homers, 19 doubles in 118 games. I think the Diamondbacks are hoping for a little more pop out of him. He slugged just .381 last year, and he's improved on that this year's slugging percentage at .521.
It's in there. I think it's definitely going to show up for them.
And Jose throws a fastball by him. It's 2-2.
He's showing a really good fastball tonight. Good live fastball. I hope he uses it more because it's a weapon for him that's actually going to help keep his pitch count down when he throws that fastball more.
Foul back. We talk about the different path for Cuban players, and of course Jose's is famous for being jailed, having shots fired at one of his escape attempts that didn't work, and then in the boat rescuing his mom who fell overboard. Tomas spent 16 hours on a boat before landing in Haiti, and then eventually ended up in the Dominican Republic. Swing and a miss, and Jose strikes out Yasmani Tomas.
That's a good put-away slider.
And his grandmother to the left, or actually on the right side, to the left of his mom. His grandmother, when Jose got here and started pitching in the big leagues a few seasons ago, his grandmother used to go up to the very top of her house, and only there could she get radio coverage of the games. She would listen to Jose pitch in the big leagues. And of course, she arrived here last year. Fastball is up to Chris Herman. Herman, University of Miami product. So all you Hurricane fans remember, this is a guy that led the Hurricanes in hitting his junior year at .341. Spent parts of 4 years with the Twins. Now a Diamondback with a count 2-1. Three strikeouts and a walk for Fernandez. Little tapper. Real Muto has it. Tough play, no play. Herman gets down the line and he legs out an infield hit.
I like the fact that he didn't try to throw that ball and try to make a play where there was no play. Last year he may have tried to throw this ball just to try to get it out there and force a play. Now he understands, you know what, don't compound the error. It's already a base hit. Let's just take it from here.
Nick Ahmed, the 8th spot for Arizona. And the Diamondbacks with an opportunity here. Ahmed 1 for 3 last night, and he drove in a run.
drove in one, but he probably saved about 2 or 3 last night with his defensive prowess out at shortstop. So much fun to watch this guy play up the middle.
You talked about Tony La Russa saying how athletic the Diamondbacks are up the middle.
Ball out.
And of course, Gene Segura out tonight. That hip still bothering him. Chip Hale said that he ran, Segura did, and if he wasn't a base stealer, he might have him in the lineup. But since he has a tendency to run, he figures might give him an extra day. Breaking ball. A strike.
Or he could just give him the hold sign and tell him don't go when he gets on.
Yeah, well,
that works as well.
Yeah, but you know what? Erring on the side of caution at this time of the year isn't all that bad. Breaking ball, strike. And the count even now, 2-2.
Good pitch. See the grip. See that slider spin. Makes the front hip of the batter bow out. Ball cuts over the inside part of the plate.
26th pitch of the inning, which is a bit of a red flag. Ooh, wow. You heard Greg Gibson said ball out. Another look.
That's off the plate just a little bit. Maybe even shaved the corner just a hair though.
It did. It allows the runners to move. Jose's breaking ball is pulled foul.
These are the situations where I want him to throw his fastball more. You risk walking a guy that's hitting 180 by throwing him a 3-2 slider. You know, and I know the runners are moving and all that, but I think he's going to have to understand how good his stuff is in these type of situations and just blow a guy away. Throw a good hard fastball on the outside part of the plate. Nick Ahmed is not going to hit you out of the ballpark to right field. Your outfield is played over that way. Your infield is shaded over that way. Pitch to your defense with a good hard fastball. Get out of that inning instead of speeding his bat up and letting him catch up to your fastball.
In the air. And Fernandez is out of trouble in the second. Scoreless in Miami. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. That is a hot dog. Preston is having that same ketchup and relish dispenser installed in his kitchen.
Thought you were going to say bedroom, Rich.
No. Giancarlo Stanton, Derek Dietrich, Marcell Ozuna in the second against Ruby De La Rosa. And Stanton leads it off. Sees a fastball for a strike. 0 for 3 last night. That snapped his 7-game hit streak. He's behind in the count, 0-2 now. Right-handed hitters have had trouble against De La Rosa of late. Stanton drives it on a line, left center field. It bounces and rolls to the wall. And Giancarlo has a leadoff double. Shows you how strong he is. It didn't sound like he got it all, but the ball just jumped.
You know, this is a hanging slider, and hanging sliders get hit really hard. That ball's up in his zone. He actually hit it too squarely. If he misses that a little bit more under it, that ball gets out of the ballpark. But he squared it up so well it never got up. Nice tomahawk action, getting down on it, swinging through it. The ball gets to the fence off his bat in a hurry.
So Miami with an opportunity here. Leadoff double. Derek Dietrich, Marcell Ozuna, and Adeiny Echeverria lined up. Dietrich in the 5 spot. He drives it to center, hits it pretty well. Peralta goes back, reaches, makes the catch. Stanton tags on his way to third. Wow, Dietrich blasted that about 400 feet from home plate. So it moves Stanton within 90 feet. And a big at bat coming from Ozuna. Ozuna, homering last night, has homered in his last 3 games. Infield in. That shows you some respect for Jose Fernandez. And a fastball down. Auto Nation scouting report.
He wasn't big when they signed him, 130 pounds. His grandmother was the nanny of Hall of Famer Pedro Martinez and had Tommy John in 2012. 130 pounds, Rich?
130 pounds. That's some great scouting, though, right? You project when this guy gains 100 pounds, he's going to be something. 1-1 to Ozuna. And a breaking ball misses out. This is a real test for Ozuna, that newfound patience that he's shown.
Speaking of the breaking ball, they did something interesting with De La Rosa. They took away his cutter, and now he uses his slider as a hard slider or more of a slurvy type slider. So he's really got 2 breaking balls in one, and they kind of simplified it by taking that cutter away from it.
That's out. That's a good take by Ozuna. It counts 3-1. Echeverria is on deck. Couple doubles, couple triples, and now 5 home runs. Chopper, and it gets through, and Stanton will score. And the Marlins had the first run of the night. And Ozuna drives in his 14th run of the season.
I don't know if there's anybody who's going to benefit more from Barry Bonds being a hitting coach than Marcell Ozuna. He seems to have this calming effect on him, to be able to have him stay mentally even on an even keel and have him more focused throughout these at-bats that we've seen this year. We've seen at-bats in the past where he kind of goes in and out and you're like, it doesn't look like he has a game plan. Now it looks like he has some type of game plan.
Well, if there's one hitter in recent history that had the ultimate game plan, it was Barry Bonds. And if you followed baseball, you knew that on most nights Bonds would get 1, maybe 2 pitches to swing at, and still he did his damage extensively up against that. Ozuna dives back in. Those 2 guys spring training a lot they were together. Fastball in.
Well, I don't think there's a pitcher that's on the Marlins staff that likes to hit more than Jose Fernandez. He enjoys getting in the batter's box. I think he likes to challenge, and he's actually a pretty good hitter. So, you know, guys who are good at things, they tend to like to do it. So, oh boy, I think he's talking about how pretty his bat is right now, though.
Counts 2-0. All right, Echeverria, 1 for 3 last night. Outfield towards right center. I'll tell you what, David Peralta is really deep in center field for Echeverria.
I think that's a product of his pitcher giving up a couple hard hit balls in a row. Usually, as a center fielder, you play with the feel of your pitcher. When they're not squaring them up that well, you tend to creep in a little.
High. And to left, Tomas comes in and makes the catch.
But when you've seen the ball hit by Stanton, you saw the ball hit by Dietrich, you know, he understands. They're squaring him up a little bit right now, so maybe in order to help my pitcher out, I got to shade back maybe 2 or 3 steps more than I normally would.
Preston, in the suspension wake of D. Gordon, most of the talk has been about Derek Dietrich. But having watched Miguel Rojas last year when Adeiny Echeverria went down, I think both of these guys are going to play significant roles.
Having his glove on the field is always a plus. But what he's done with the bat at the last half of last year and this year has been great. He looks like a much more confident hitter. You know, I think he always knew he had a big league glove. Now he's starting to believe that he can compete against any pitcher they throw out there when he steps in a batter's box. And that's a big tool to have in your kit, to have that confidence that you're not overmatched with the bat.
Rojas, a high fly ball. Tomas makes the catch. Miami done in the second, but a run and a lead. It's 1-0.
Nothing Miami after 3 as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. You know, during spring training, Don Mattingly said they had a contingent plan to try and get Derek Dietrich some at-bats, and they were looking at any injury. Of course, didn't expect what happened to D. Gordon, but if D. Gordon went out, one of the other players, first base or third, Prado, Bohr, went out for an extended period of time or any time, that Dietrich would be the guy to get some at-bats and get in there. So he worked very hard defensively. Perry Hill's very impressed, especially over at first base. We've seen him mostly at second base in his career. A little third base. He's very comfortable at first, and Dietrich himself told us When he was asked about when that ball hit him in the face, did that affect him defensively? He said maybe subconsciously, but he said he's worked very hard, preparing himself even before D. Gordon went out to be ready to play when called upon. He's been a big factor for the Marlins, guys.
All right, thank you, Craig. Jose Fernandez as the first out of the third. Phil Gosselin, Jake Lamb following Ruby De La Rosa. There is Justin Bour. This was last night. It seemed rather innocuous. But you see that hand and you see that finger that he put up on the base and how bent it was. And you could tell just looking at it. Now he's trying to pull it out. Ouch.
Oh, that hurts.
Fastball hits Gosselin. Now he had a pad on the elbow, but I don't know that it hit the elbow.
I think that got in the lat in the back. Good gracious. It had a nice thud to it, too.
Oh, I think it got.
We have.
Yeah,
no, that
right.
got the back. That got, yeah.
Yeah, here's what that sounds like. This is not fun. So Diamondbacks with one out have Gosselin at first base. And now Lamb, who hooked a slider into right for a base hit in the first.
Hey!
And that bouncer's going to find right field. Standing up with it, runner going to third, and the throw comes all the way across, and hustling and getting to second with a slide is Lamb.
I don't know if he could have. The throw's a little high maybe for him to do it, but on that chance right there, when you're a third baseman and you know that base runner's going to make it, if you can come off the bag and cut down that throw and get it into second base, you can get that out right there because that base runner commits. See, it's tough because he got that hop, and you don't want to run into an in-between hop. You got to stay back and get the hop. Good job of base runner by Lamb, seeing the ball through before he went on to second, though.
Boy, it really sets up this at bat for Goldschmidt. You see Matt Williams, former manager of the Nationals. That was an off-speed pitch. It came in at 90 miles an hour. Lamb hit one of those to right in the first, and he hits another to right here in the third. The fastball is up to Goldschmidt, who struck out back in the first inning. This is the definition of a stressful inning. Second and third and one out, and the stress is added by the fact that it's Goldschmidt and then Peralta. Jose's going after him. The 1-1 misses down low at 96 miles an hour. Miami has a 1-0 lead, but Don Mattingly knows that the pitch count, 55 already, is climbing for Fernandez. The breaking ball foul back to the screen. Jose right now battling one of the top hitters in baseball, and a guy that in my mind doesn't get enough national love. Three-time All-Star, runner-up. I know he was runner-up in the MVP, but still I don't think people recognize how good he is. 2-2 coming. Got him. Second punch out of Goldschmidt tonight.
That's a really tight, hard slider. Look how tight the rotation is on this thing. That ball makes a turn and hits right on the outside corner. It's hard to make a better pitch than that in that situation.
Now Peralta, who lined out to Stanton back in the second. And he takes outside.
It's the second at bat in a row he started off Peralta with a changeup.
on the changeup. A ball and a strike.
Al Jackson once said, if you throw your changeup before your fastball, you're not changing up off anything. And he threw it to him his first at bat, first pitch of first at bat. He threw him a changeup.
Slider, and it's 1-2.
Tell you what, he's got a nasty slider working right now, though. That thing is tight, it's late breaking, and they're not picking it up at all.
That had a much tighter break than the ball that Lamb hit to right field in the first inning. Did he go? Yes! And Jose punches out Peralta. His mom and his grandmother quite pleased. And Miami holds on to a 1-0 lead. Taste of Miami. 1-0 Marlin lead. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Jose Fernandez leads it off against Ruby De La Rosa. Fastball, Jose pops it up. Goldschmidt makes the catch. One pitch, one out for De La Rosa. JT Realmuto, Martin Prado will follow. Miami's run came in the second. Giancarlo Stanton leadoff double. Derek Dietrich, a deep fly ball to center, moved him to third, and Ozuna knocked him in with a single. Adam Conley, who remember had that no-hitter going when he exited in the 8th, gets the start tomorrow. Robbie Ray goes for the Snakes. Snakes and Fish. Tomorrow night, 6:30 start, Marlins Live. Realmuto, a base hit, an infield hit. Chopper over the middle. He was then caught stealing. Ball right field in the gap, and it's gonna get to the wall. Realmuto can run, but a nice job by Drury to play it off the wall, and he'll settle for his 7th double. My goodness, Realmuto. I mean, we talk about turning your month around. I know this run that he's on has bled into May, but this yet another double in his 9-game hit streak, which he has extended. has 18 hits.
When you can take a fastball that's middle to middle in and stay back and drive it in the opposite gap for that type of power, you're really staying back well and you have great balance. That's when you're swinging the bat well.
Now Prado bounced to short. His first time up. Breaking ball, a strike. Out short, Ahmed gets the out. And here comes Yelich with a runner at third and 2 outs. Christian Yelich has been up near the top of the on-base leaders. He is 0 for 1 tonight. Dexter Fowler of the Cubs is having a terrific run. Fowler leads the National League. Came in at 473. Yelich on base at a 458 clip when play started. Fastballs in. And this is that Stanton on deck dynamic here. With 2 outs. De La Rosa certainly doesn't want to tangle with Stanton, but Yelich obviously no picnic either.
Yeah, this is where as a pitcher you have to be fine. You have to make pitches, because these are the 2 most dangerous guys in this lineup.
This is the reason Don Mattingly didn't immediately say, all right, Christian Yelich, you're my leadoff guy. Likes the dynamic of Prado, Yelich, Stanton, and then protection behind Stanton. Yelich, base hit, 2-0 Miami. The sweet swing of Christian Yelich. And here comes Stanton.
It's kind of like baseball's version of Big Poison, Little Poison.
The Wainer brothers, right?
Yeah, Yelich is going to get you somehow. And if you don't got the short way or the line drive way, you may get hurt the big way with Big Poison coming up after that. Like that throwback, huh, Rich? Little Big Poison, Little Poison.
I like that. We usually, when we get to Pittsburgh, we usually trot that out. All right, here's Stanton now, who clubbed a double to the wall in left center back in the second. Chase the slider. De La Rosa in 25 innings has given up just 3 home runs this year.
There's no shortage of stuff on the mound tonight between De La Rosa and Fernandez. You've seen a lot of 95, 96s pop up on that radar gun. You've seen some nasty sliders.
In fact, they rank in the top 6, both of them, of hardest throwers in the National League. Stanton drives it center field. That's deep. That's gone. 2-run shot. The big man strikes again.
Little Poison got you with an RBI knock. Big Poison knocks you out the park. Oh my, the Marlins have got to be loving this, having these 2 guys swing like this.
That's exactly the way you draw it up when you make out a lineup.
If you're the Marlins, this is how you draw this one up. Get Jose off to a good start, holding the Arizona lineup down, and then get some early runs. Talk about getting on the road, winning at home, feeling good about yourself at home. This is how you get it done.
Well, you know, you talk little poison, big poison, but just typical swings by both. Yelich, that line shot back up the box, and Stanton, an absolute blast to dead central. And he's climbing up that list.
He makes this ballpark look like any other ballpark, and nobody else in baseball can do that.
And even though the fences have come in a bit in center and dropped down a bit as well, it is still a large ballpark, unless your name is Giancarlo. You can see the outline, that black outline in the middle of the bushes there. That's the top of the old wall. That new wall is at 8.5 feet high, and at the closest point, 13 feet in from the old wall. Strike 3 called. Dietrich goes down, but Stanton goes out. 9th of the season. 2-run shot, and Miami is open. A 4-0 lead.
Fun day today. A little batting practice for the Florida Panthers here. A lot of the guys here, including Nick Bukestad and Derek McKenzie, catching the game tonight and getting a chance to take batting practice, which is always fun, even if it doesn't go out of the park, Nick. How much fun was it there to take some BP with your mates?
Yeah, you know, we're lucky enough to come out here, and they let us whack it around a little bit, some more than others. Derek was probably the best out of all of us. But I made contact, so I'm happy with it. So it was a good time.
You're a softball player a little bit.
Yeah, I strike out in my softball league when we only get 2 strikes, but you know, it's kind of embarrassing. But you know, like I said, it's just fun getting out here and seeing how hard it really is to hit these balls.
Yeah, we're taking some look at some of the video. You see, there's Ekblad's swing.
Yeah, I don't know, X. Thank God he can one-time the puck.
All right, the pressure was on you. Everybody knows throwing out that first pitch can be nerve-wracking. How'd you deal with that?
Well, you know, I'll tell you, it is nerve-wracking enough, and the boys weren't going to let me down. They rode me pretty hard right till the end, and I managed to promise I wouldn't throw it in the dirt, and it might have been a little high, but it wasn't in the dirt. It was a little tough with that big glove in the Marlin there, but you know what, these guys, this was a lot of fun. We really look forward to coming down here, and it's been a great experience.
I know you have some youngsters that get into baseball. Did you play a little baseball in your day?
I did play a little bit, probably till I was 13 or 14 years old, and my little guy here now, and when he's done hockey, that's when we start up as baseball, and it was great for him to be able to come down and see some of these guys, and and just get to appreciate you know, how great athletes they are to hit that ball. So.
Nick, you see Stanton hit that shot before. I mean, what do you think when you see a shot like that?
Man, it's crazy. I saw him in the home run derby in Minnesota a few years ago, and the guy is he's a beast. So it's fun watching him. And I actually called that to Derek's son. I said, I think he's going to hit a home run. Probably the guy to pick if you're going to call a home run. So yeah, we wear the same numbers. So that's one of my favorite players.
Hey, great season, guys. I know it's a frustrating finish, but we're looking forward to next year, and go get them. Enjoy the summer, right?
All right, thanks for having us.
All right, Derek McKenzie, Nick Bukestad, guys, back to you.
Terrific ride into the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Panthers. Yasmani Tomas up there now. We saw Brandon Drury pull a double by Martin Prado. Craig's in his element there. Not only is he kissing babies and shaking hands and making friends, but there's a lot of hockey talk there.
Oh, he's a big-time hockey fan. You know, his dad, who passed away a little while ago, they had a great relationship. They played hockey together. They, you know, played in the streets of New York and leagues in New York. He's passed that down to his son. His son's a goalie in hockey, Max. So I know he's played in the junior leagues down here in Florida. So it's always nice to see him in that hockey element because he really loves it.
Hey guys, just want to mention that Hockey Fest is this Saturday, May 7th, at the Ice Den in Coral Springs. It's a fun day of hockey. Derek McKenzie will be there for autographs at 10:30. Nick Bukestad will be signing at 11:30. Full hockey day. Come on out to the Ice Den. That's the Panthers practice home, Coral Springs. Saturday, May 7th, from 10 to 4.
Will you be skating there, Craig?
Well, we got a ball game, so I won't be skating Saturday, but should be a lot of fun. It was a great season for the Panthers. You know, Don Mattingly mentioned the Panthers today, saying we want to do what the Panthers did, make things exciting, win some home games like the Cats did, and turn on the crowd here in South Florida. And hopefully they'll keep going like they have, guys, winning 8 out of the last 9.
Yeah, the Marlins have scored on the power play a few times. Giancarlo Stanton with a power play goal. 2-2 to Tomas. Swing and a miss. Fernandez, 6 strikeouts. He's been able to get the big bats as well. Goldschmidt twice, Tomas twice.
Got another slider here. I don't mind it as much as the right-handed batter because the ball moves away from him. And his slider has Yasmani Tomas in a headlock right now. He can't figure it out.
Jose has had to pitch with men on base. He had second and third and 1 out last inning. Struck out Goldschmidt and Peralta. 2 runners on in the second as well. Real Muto on his way out. There's a look at Herman, the former Hurricane. Two and 0. Drury, the runner at second. A 4-0 Miami lead. Off-speed pitch rolled up the middle. Rojas quickly to first to get Herman. So 2 down. Nick Ahmed arrives, and he'll be there tomorrow night, along with that rattle. Back and forth, back and forth. Cinco de Mayo tomorrow night at the ballpark. Marlins and Diamondbacks 7-10 start. Seniors 55 and older can get free tickets on Senior Free Ticket Thursday, presented by Wellmax. Marlins.com for more details. You'll see Adam Conley go for the fish over the head of Prado, and Nick Ahmed going for 2. The throw is cut, and I'm not sure why. And I think either a lack of communication or some missed communication between Rojas and Echeverria.
Yeah, Yelich does a good job coming up with a good strong throw. I just think Echeverria wasn't aware that the base runner was running. You have to be alert. I don't know if maybe Rojas told him to let it go, but somewhere in there was a miscommunication. Or maybe the throw might have been a little offline. You saw Rojas backing in towards the infield. When you see that, sometimes the shortstop will cut it just to stop the ball from maybe going, you know, towards the first baseman and giving up another base that way. So it could have been the throw was offline, maybe not just a miscommunication.
Ruby De La Rosa takes the at bat, and Jose misses outside. So the Diamondbacks are on the board. This is the exact score on opposite sides from last night. Arizona was up 4-1 before Miami came roaring back in the 6th. 1-2. Miami's win last night nudged them back over the 500 mark in the hyper-competitive National League East. De La Rosa chases. Diamondbacks get a run, but Jose is through 4 with 7 strikeouts and a 4-1 lead. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Checkers. Fast foodies know the deal. And by your South Florida Chevy dealers. Jose Fernandez and the Marlins have a 4-1 lead. Bottom 4. That looks like kettle corn and candy corn.
I can do the kettle corn. I can't do the candy corn, Rich. A little bit too much for me. I don't think I like the fruity pebble colors.
Here's Marcell Ozuna, and he cracks one into right center field, and just adjusting and making the catch is Peralta. Peralta's angle was for a ball that was in front of him, and then at the last minute he veered back and makes the play.
That was the old banana route right there, Rich. Curve it in and bend it back at the last minute and just get it.
That's John Gruden's favorite route.
The banana route.
Right? The banana. Why banana?
It's either that or the lightning bolt route.
It's a fastball, a strike to Echeverria. Miguel Rojas will follow. De La Rosa's pitch count much more manageable than Jose's right now. Jose's at 79. As you can see, De La Rosa pretty economical at 46.
You know, Rich, we're talking about the kettle corn. They asked me just now, what is the difference between kettle corn and candy corn? Well, kettle corn is salty and sweet. Candy corn is just sweet. You know, I had to explain that to a few people just now. I got a few messages and got a few notes, you know.
Little tapper, and Echeverria is out. So salty and sweet. So kettle corn would be the Jeff Conine of snacks, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because Snyder's got that really dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
And is all in all, a really good guy.
He can come off a little salty every now and then.
Yeah, but that's and of course cotton candy is well, that's a universal favorite.
Yeah.
The cracked staff oftentimes gets into the cotton candy, and there's a sugar high that ensues.
Yeah.
Stuff goes wrong. Way wrong. There's a fastball.
Yeah, I think when I was a kid, I had a couple cotton candies at the ballpark, and my mom decided that I already had enough energy, and that was not the thing for me to do to behave well in public.
Was that Shea Stadium?
Yes, it was.
Breaking ball is up now. At Shea Stadium, didn't you work? Did they put you to work at Shea Stadium? Not just, hey, there's Mookie's kid again. It's like, hey, Preston, I need some help with the tarp.
Yeah, I was one of the promotion kids actually that went out and handed out, like when a scheduled day or bobblehead day. I was one of the kids at the gate that was handing out all those things. So James Plummer, who's a great promotions guy in New York for a very long time, gave me my first job.
What'd you make an hour? Like $3.50, $4?
Rich, I don't even remember if they paid me or not, to be honest. Now, I got paid a little bit. It was a little bit, not much, but, you know, it gave me a great sense of responsibility. It gave me, you know, having to be at work on time, having to work with other people. It was a great early experience for me, and I'll tell you what, I always had a job when I was in high school.
3-2 coming. Breaking ball. Rojas flips it down that right field line, and a dive at the last minute by Drury. He got a little grass and a little dirt all in that same slide. Hey, hi, how are you?
One of my many jobs was I was a stock boy for one of the dollar store chains in high school. You see the effort there by Drury. Didn't really have much of a chance at catching that. When he gets a little older, he's going to learn, you know, just let that fall. They would call that a little false hustle when you're in the big leagues right there, yeah. Save your body a little bit.
Well, he's a rookie, so trying to impress, and he has been impressive this year. 3-2, low fastball, and Rojas walks. So Miguel Rojas is aboard. That'll turn the lineup over next inning. And it gives Jose an at bat here in the fourth. Chip Hale, of course, the Diamondbacks with some nice shiny new toys, especially in their starting rotation. Is that Greinke, Shelby Miller, and that hasn't worked out so well. Jose swings and misses. Those two starters have not lived up to a lot of the preseason hype or their numbers from last year. Jose fouls that pitch back. Greinke is 2-2 and an ERA of 5.5 in 6 starts. Miller is 0-3 and an ERA of 8.5 in 6 starts. So it's not what they had hoped for, obviously.
Well, if this trend continues as it's going, the Braves are going to come out looking like they came out on a great enter that deal, getting Ender Inciarte in that move. That guy can play some outfield. And the first-round pick,
Dansby Swanson.
Dansby Swanson from Vanderbilt. Yeah, first pick overall.
Future shortstop of the Braves, they say. That strike 3 called. Ruby De La Rosa finishes the fish in the 4th. 4-1 Miami. Wednesday Showdown, brought to you by La Lechonera. In Miami tonight, 4-1, Marlins on top of the Diamondbacks. Rich Waltz on with Preston Wilson. You have to think this is a terrific sign for the Marlins. They played so well on the road. They had not played well at home, but a come-from-behind win last night and a 4-1 lead tonight.
Oh, to get on the board great is a great thing for them because it takes the pressure off of Jose Fernandez. And it starts to get this home crowd back into it. When the Marlins win at home, the people start coming out some more. And when you get Jose Fernandez winning, that's even better. So let's hope this continues.
Derek Dietrich up, and he snares a line drive off the bat of Phil Gosselin. Now Dietrich, athletic, slow motion. Look at that.
Oh, man's got some hops. Not quite the liftoff that Dietrich had, but you know what? He was with him in spirit. That's what I like.
There's Jake Lamb. And of course tonight another massive Giancarlo Stanton home run, and that's a terrific sign. It seemed like the offense jumped to life when Stanton really started to hit him on the road. That home run Sunday in San Francisco, that was the start of the win streak, and it seemed like all the bats came alive on that Sunday.
Well, he's that guy in the middle lineup that when he gets going, he makes everyone else's job easier. And he puts all the pressure in the world on the opposing pitcher. So when he's going well, they have to spend so much more energy trying to get him out that there's going to be more mistakes made to everybody else throughout that lineup.
Jake Lamb has singled twice to right. And this changeup is flipped into the seats. So the count 2-2. You see the pitch count at 85. Jose trying to get through this fifth, and one would hope without a lot more pitches that he can get through the sixth as well. Nope, no swing, says Dana Demuth. Full count, 3-2. Lamb, a terrific college player at the University of Washington. Pitch is low, and Jose loses him. Time now for our Geico Marlins moments. We flash back 2013. Jose Fernandez, Mike Dunn, and Steve Cishek combined for a one-hitter. It was the first win of Jose's career back in 2013. Hey, the Dauber making a special guest appearance.
Saw Dobbs out in LA to the ballpark, sitting in the high rent district down there right behind home plate near George Lopez in Arsenio Hall.
That's right. And Mrs. Dobbs.
Yes.
Strike, and it's 1-1. Goldschmidt has struck out twice. This is not an area of the lineup where you want to put guys on base and get into deep counts. Well, Goldschmidt now with a count 1-2.
There's a lot of words that you can use to describe how the right-handed hitters are responding to Jose's slider tonight. But the bottom line is they're just not seeing it. They can't hit it. They can't pick up the spin, and they're not making good contact on it all. Or any contact.
Two balls, two strikes. Goldschmidt, 6 homers. He is a high walk guy as well. He leads the National League with 28 of them, but a high strikeout man this year. Pulls one on the ground. Prado, Goldschmidt runs well, and he's out at first by a step.
We've seen Prado make that play about as well as any other third baseman in the league this year, coming in barehanded, controlling the ball, stopping the spin, and then putting a good throw on target for the first baseman to get the out. He has done a tremendous job at barehanding the baseball. That's not an easy play because the ball is coming harder, the ball's moving, and you got to redirect the throw, and Jose Fernandez is loving it. Love when his defense picks him up like that.
Now Peralta, who's 0 for 2. He's lined out and struck out. Again, the pitch count significant. It's at 93. And of course, remember, the Marlins are trying to limit Jose's innings to about 180. They will, on a couple of occasions, maybe 3 times this year, skip him in the rotation. To right, it's well hit and deep. Stanton looks up, and David Peralta hits it in the seats. The Diamondbacks are within a run.
Another off-speed pitch that a left-handed hitter gets a good swing on. See, Lamb has had success on the slider tonight. This appears to be a changeup, possibly. Definitely with something soft. Oh yeah, it's a changeup that just stops right there. Doesn't get the down and away action. He stays right on it and puts a beautiful swing on it. Puts it in the seat. Makes this ball game just a little bit closer. 4-3 now.
So a 2-run shot, a 1-run game. Here's Drury. And there's a strike. Now Miami's bullpen is starting to stir as Jose approaches 100 pitches. And I guess that's the challenge now, Preston, for Jose, is trying to get to the 6th or the 7th inning with about 90 pitches, not the end of the 4th or the start of the 5th.
Well, he's going to have to come to a point where he's going to have to try to make these at-bats shorter for other batters. And whether that's starting off with more fastballs early in the count, whether that's using a sinker more, 2-seamer to try to get more ground balls.
Rojas and Drury is out, but the Diamondbacks aren't done. 2 more runs. David Peralta with a 2-run homer. Marlins up 4-3. Time now for Just for Men mustache and beard. Play like a champ profile. JT Realmuto, we talked about it last night, but look at the numbers on April 24th in that road trip in San Francisco. A 188 average, hits in all 9 games, 18 of them, and all of a sudden Realmuto's average is over 300. And he's 2 for 2 tonight. Infield hit and a double. Scored a run in the 3rd. And he's up here for the 3rd time. Breaking ball up and in. Now all of a sudden, remember we touched upon Ruby De La Rosa's pitch count. He's at 60, and it looks like he's in line to last longer and Jose Fernandez.
Wait.
Coors Light always brings us some cold, hard facts. 14 wins, 9 after Diamondback losses. The Diamondbacks were one of the most improved teams last year, and obviously having a guy like De La Rosa get wins after a loss helps. They had a 15-game improvement from 2014. And of course, last year was the first year of manager Chip Hale. I love having Greg Gibson all mic'd up like this.
Takes the guesswork out of it.
Eddie, of course, is Ed Hickox, the first base umpire. Real Muto, another hit, a liner in the left. You know, I know, and it's a stat that I like to look at, batting average for balls in play, and I know Real Muto's is high right now, but not all balls that are put in play are hit equally. I mean, he's not hitting weak ground balls that are finding themselves into the outfield. He's blasting balls all over the place right now. That was a well-struck ball there.
That one got in on him just a hair, but it was a hanging slider that was up enough for him to do something with. But he's just in such a good hitting position that if the ball's up in the strike zone or in his hitting zone, he's going to do something good with it right now.
Martin Prado now. Leadoff single by Real Muto. De La Rosa misses. Prado twice has bounced to short.
De La Rosa thinks he's got a gripe right there. He wants the dugout to take a look at it.
Even Goldschmidt is looking in.
Oh, he caught him on that other step. But the thing is, he wasn't that far off the base that if he'd had another step, maybe that would take effect. But wasn't far enough off the base. But he did catch him leaning.
I would love to see, just for a weekend, Major League Baseball change the rules on replays and let the players challenge. Take the manager and the video guy out of it, because it would be a mess. Guys would be saying, oh, I was safe. I know I was safe.
You know what, partner? I'm with you because I know exactly where you're going, because players always think they're safe and the defense always think they have the out.
I mean, one thing we found since the introduction to this extensive replay is that players are wrong about 75 to 80% of the time. Really? I mean, seriously, it's not. I don't have the exact numbers, but. Oh, Drury, did he hold it? He's out, and tagging is Real Muto. Real Muto ends up at second. Drury ends up in the first row. What a catch.
Gotta give it to the kid. He laid out for a ball he didn't have a chance on it earlier, but this is a tremendous play. He gets to the wall in time to find it, so he's not searching for it. Makes the play and has the wherewithal to get the ball back on the field. He doesn't just lay down there with it. He gets the ball out, throws it back on the field so his teammates can do something with it. Oh, that's nice.
Now the ball is still live. You can see him. Now Real Muto smartly tags. But watch the hand just appear and the ball fly out of there.
What was that from the Addams Family? The thing that just popped up with the hand?
Good hustle by Ed Hickox, and good to see that Drury is okay. Don Mattingly out for a discussion with Greg Gibson.
You don't see it. That's the reason why. It just looks funky.
He's just hanging out over the wall. And just flips it out there.
Wanted to see if he got him.
We just call that prairie dogging. Now prairie dogs look up out of their hole like that. That's called prairie dogging.
All right, here's Yelich now. Real Muto at second with one out. Yelich lined an RBI single to center in the third, fly to left in his first at bat. Stanton on deck. Prado the first out, the bottom of the fifth. They're trying their best to pick Real Muto off. Now, Real Muto looks like a leadoff hitter now, right?
Yeah.
Guy that's been sliding into bases, dirt all over him.
Yeah, he's a mess right now. That's the look of a little leaguer.
Outfield playing Yelich to pull. Peralta shaded into right center. Ball and a strike. One-run game here. Yelich has kept his on-base percentage up around 460. Sitting on a 2-1 pitch. Good breaking ball. 2-2. Career numbers against De La Rosa. Speaking of that, Real Muto came in 2 for 6 with a home run against De La Rosa. And is now 5 for 9. Pulls a ground ball out to second. Goslin gets the out. Stanton with 2 outs. Fireworks Friday. This Friday. Yeah, the Phillies are coming. And it's Nurses Appreciation Night. Pick up the new Budweiser burger and beer package for just $25. Get a bullpen reserve ticket, specialty burger, and a 16-ounce beer. And of course, fireworks after the game. Marlins.com for more information. The Diamondbacks aren't even going to mess around. They're just going to walk Stanton on 4. Stanton has doubled the left center. Whoa! Did you see that?
Wow.
Stanton's eyes lit up. Watch this.
Oh, yeah. We've seen it happen. You make that mistake, it can get hit.
Of course, in Marlins history, you go back to Baltimore and Camden Yards. And Miguel Cabrera in extra innings hitting an intentional walk pitch into center field that scored Hanley Ramirez with what would be the winning run. De La Rosa much better with the next 2 wide ones, and this will put Derek Dietrich in a 1st and 3rd and 2-out spot. First time Stanton has been intentionally walked this year, believe it or not. And so here's Dietrich, who is lined out and struck out. Mike Butcher, who has toned down the sneakers, although he's still got the sweet Air Jordans going.
But they fit each uniform. Last night they had the teal turquoise colored letters. Tonight they're wearing the brick colored uniform, so he's got the brick toes on the end of those Jordans. His sneaker game is on hit right now.
So he's got to pack like 8 different sneakers?
Well, I mean, if you got it like that, you got it like that.
Yeah.
You probably got like a sneaker trunk. say it again, I've never been jealous of a pitching coach's sneaker game before.
Now Dietrich, whose liner in the second was a 400-foot liner to straightaway center, and it moved Stanton from second to third at the time. Realmuto's at third, Stanton's at first, and Dietrich digs in. Breaking ball, strike.
See, that's the less sharp of the breaking ball at 81 miles an hour. It's more of a get-me-over breaking ball. De La Rosa's been doing that a lot more lately. He did a lot against the Cardinals, getting ahead with that first pitch get-me-over slider.
Goslin, and Miami's going to leave a couple here in the fifth. 5 innings complete in Miami, and it's 4-3 Marlins. In Miami tonight, Giancarlo Stanton is homered. Jose Fernandez has struck out 7. Miami has the lead. However, 99 pitches in 5 innings means Don Mattingly has removed Jose from the ball game, and the Fish are going to have to get some help from the bullpen to win this ball game. Jose Urena is the first out of the pen. There's Manny Tomas, Chris Herman, and Nick Ahmed for the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks got a run in the 4th. Ahmed had an RBI double. And then David Peralta, 2-run homer in the 5th. And that's how we sit at 4-3 on a rainy afternoon and evening here in Miami. Strike to Tomas, who struck out twice against Jose. Down that right field line, long run for Stanton. That's trouble. Off the track, off the wall. Stanton barehands it, fires to second, and he is safe. Echeverria with a pick in the tag. What a throw by Stanton. And this is one that the Marlins are going to look at. He's out.
Oh, he is definitely out.
He is way out. He never got to the bag before the tag. What a terrific throw.
This is one of those plays where as an outfielder, he did the right thing by running straight to the wall. Nice tag by Edge.
Now that's the end of the play. The start of the play as you pointed out, was Stanton playing the ball off the wall.
When you know the ball is over your head and you're not going to get to it, you try to run to a spot. Stanton played this ball perfectly. He got the right hop, was at the right distance from the wall to get it in, and made a tremendously strong throw right on target.
You hear the crowd, and he's out.
That's a big out. Let's take this from the top, Rich. Let's see how this whole thing developed into this great play that it turned out to be. See Stanton going, now watch him take his eye off it, find the spot, play it well, gets off a strong throw. Echeverria's in good position, sacrifices the body a little bit. See that leg down? That's really what prevented Tomas from getting to the base. See that leg blocking him there?
On both ends, the pick by Stanton, the throw, and then Echeverria, a difficult pickup and tag. It goes as a single, and a big defensive play opens the sixth. Chris Herman, who was 1 for 2 with an infield hit, the former Hurricane.
We talked about Tomas last night with his ability to drive the ball down in his zone. He put a really good swing on that pitch.
So Fernandez, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, but 99 pitches to do it. On the other side, Ruby De La Rosa, in his 5 innings, has thrown just 78 pitches. Marlins have 4 runs and 7 hits against him.
Good live fastball by Urania right there. Threw it right by Herman.
Marlins are hopeful. You would expect that they could get maybe a couple of innings out of Urania. But the bullpen's fairly rested, obviously, with the off day. And last night, it just started in the 7th. Barraclough, Phelps, and Ramos. Everybody else in the pen is healthy. Jose's going to have to watch this for 4 innings to see if the pen can do it. Yelich giving chase. Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. Long way to go, and that's the specialty for Christian Yelich. He covers a lot of ground in a very large left field.
He's got those long loping strides. It doesn't look like he's putting out a lot of effort, but he's covering a lot of ground. Gets to that ball relatively easily.
Nick Ahmed now with 2 outs.
I'm not left-handed.
Even though Jose Sainz can't sit still.
They're probably talking too right now.
Urania misses up.
Urania looks like he's got a nice fresh arm. 95, 96. Good live movement. Good sink when it's down.
Ball and a strike. Andrew Chafin, just in case the Diamondbacks want a pinch hit for De La Rosa.
Good pitch. But his secondary pitches have gotten a whole lot better in this last year plus. We always knew he had the good, strong fastball. That's the breaking ball. Freezes the hitter. Keeps it down in the zone.
Bouncer. Prado backing up. It's a sweet play at third by Martin Prado. That eats a lot of guys up. Prado handles it deftly. 4-3 Marlins. top, bottom 6. Saturday night is a fun night. Jeff Conine All-Star Bobblehead Nights. First 10,000 fans get a Niner bobblehead courtesy of the fine folks at Fox Sports Florida. And you can celebrate Teachers Appreciation Night. Get the all-you-can-eat seats for just $28. Get your tickets now, Marlins.com. Look at Niner. Look at the game face.
He's got a game face all the time. Look at him. Right now he's got a game face on.
Look at the pocket square is neat.
I don't know if there's a more adventurous man on this planet than Jeff Conine. Even when he's doing a bobblehead, he's got a game face on.
Marcell Ozuna swings and misses at a breaking ball. Ruby De La Rosa continues. There you go. Conine bobblehead on Saturday.
So Conine has climbed Kilimanjaro.
Run the Ironman, right?
Done the Ironman triathlon.
He's taken up tennis now on the clay.
So clay court tennis player. Guess, you know, grass doesn't interest him, I guess.
Great,
no hardcore.
Great racquetball player.
World-class racquetball player.
As he was introduced on opening day at the Marlins' very first game.
He has a new feature coming up where he goes in a sub.
Jeff Conine.
Now, is that a nuclear sub or is it just
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's the top of the line. I mean, it's Jeff Conine, so it's top of the line. That's tomorrow on Marlins Live.
And he told me today that he is going to do a thing where he runs 7 marathons in like 7 different countries or 7 continents in 7 days. Something just ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah.
2-2. Wow, a scorching line drive by Ozuna. That went right by Goldschmidt. Check the exit speed on that sucker. 2 hits for Ozuna. Leadoff single here in the 6th. Echeverria and Rojas also scheduled. Diamondbacks bullpen. Nobody throwing yet, but I think that's coming shortly. De La Rosa's been both in the bullpen and in the rotation. Right now, they're just watching things in the Cleveland. Hard to blame them. And Edge fouls it back to the screen. Four starts, 3 relief appearances for De La Rosa. After winning 14 games last year. The exit speed, according to StatCast, 105 miles an hour on the Ozuna liner to right field. Do you know how strong you have to be to hit ball opposite field on a line at 105 miles an hour?
Oh, no, Eddie, did he go?
Eddie's getting a lot of run tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
There's Ed Hickox. He'll work home plate tomorrow night. So Miami's bullpen is active because Urena is due up in the, I guess, 4th in the inning. He's 3 hitters away now. Echeverria, then Rojas, who's on deck, and then Urena. Nice lead by Ozuna. Echeverria leaning out, trying to make sure that ball was off the corner.
That's a close pitch right there. If it missed, it didn't miss by much. It's just a hair off the plate. That's a great take. That's one of those when you got 2 strikes, you really can't be too mad if the umpire calls that pitch a strike.
Chases that one. De La Rosa gets a strikeout. Just his third of the night. T-Mobile, greater coverage of baseball, bringing you up to date. Jake Arrieta just continues to put up silly numbers. Look at the season so far, 6-0 and 0.84. Justin Smoke in the Blue Jays beating the Rangers. First time those two teams have met since that great postseason series. Pablo Sandoval done for the year. Surgery yesterday. It's a lot of money he's owed for the next few years. And the Reds bullpen has taken it on the chin. In 21 consecutive games, they've given up a run. Now here's Rojas, who's flied out and walked.
Do you think baseball is going to start to question signing guys just because they have a good postseason? Because there's a lot of guys recently who have made really good contracts that are above what they would normally get if you take out their postseason numbers.
Well, look, Sandoval was, and yeah, he had a great postseason for the San Francisco Giants. Remember those 3 home runs off of the Tigers, and I believe it was Verlander. But there were always concerns there about his weight, about his fitness, and no matter how hard the Giants tried to get him to fix it or get in shape or change the diet, they just couldn't do it. And the Red Sox, I don't want to say gambled on him, but gave him the big contract, felt that they could do it, and it hasn't worked. If someone can get to him, or it's got to be from himself, right? If Sandoval himself can figure it out and get that under control, he's a terrific player and can play, but not at that weight and not in that shape.
It just seems like a bit of hubris to sign a guy where you feel like you're already predetermined or predestined to be in the playoffs if you sign a guy as a playoff bat or a playoff guy when all the other pieces aren't there necessarily.
0-2. And
because
Rojas
now
foul tips, and that's held. It's a strikeout.
If you're in a situation where you have a major injury to your pitching staff or someone else goes down, now you're not a playoff team saddled with a guy who already has a lot of characteristics that you don't want in a ball player, but you want him for the postseason.
Fair point. Chip Hale on his way out. Ichiro is on deck. Now Cole Gillespie is on deck. And Hale is going to stick with De La Rosa. Gillespie will get the at-bat. One-run game here, bottom 6. Pinch Penny brings you this. Pinch hitter. Gillespie had a great spring training. Hit .382. Coming off a year last year where he got back to the big leagues with the Marlins. He was versatile in the outfield. And just started to heat up in New Orleans. Had a couple homers in his last 6 games. Counts 2-0. You got Real Muto, who's 3 for 3 on deck. Chafin, the lefty, is ready. Gillespie, a liner to right, well hit, and it's dropped out there by Drury. Here comes Ozuna to third, and he's held there. Drury did not get a particularly good jump, and he obviously couldn't finish the play.
This ball was hit a lot harder than he thought it was hit. Cole Gillespie put a charge in, and you see he's stuck dead in his tracks, and now he's trying to make up ground, and the ball's behind you. Anytime the ball goes past your eyes, to the glove and you're trying to make a catch, you're essentially guessing. You're not seeing the ball, glove, eyes. You're seeing ball, eyes, glove. And that means you're starting to guess at where the ball may end up, and you've got a good chance of misplaying it when that happens.
It's ruled an error on a well-struck ball. The Marlins now at second and third. With Real Muto coming up, he's going to face the lefty after this Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Game, Miami threatening in the bottom of the sixth inning with 2 outs. Arizona's made a pitching change, a lefty in, Andrew Chafin. See, the opponent's average against right-handers are actually hitting lower than lefties. So he'll get Real Muto. Right-handed bats are just 5 for 22 with 8 strikeouts, which tells you he's probably got a pretty good changeup. Real Muto red hot, 3 for 3. Second and third. Fastball in a perfect spot. It's 0-1. Ruby De La Rosa exits. 2 outs here in the sixth. Just like that, it's 0-2. And he hasn't shown him anything off speed. 2 fastballs for strikes. Ozuna and Gillespie. He got him. 3 fastballs. And Chafin strikes out Real Muto. Miami leads 2 more, but leads it 4-3. sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Marlins Park tonight, 4-3 Miami. And the bullpen trying to bring this home. Jose Fernandez just 5 innings. Jose Urena looked sharp and handled the 6th. Brian Morris gets the 7th. The Marlins holding on to this 1-run lead. Gene Segura is going to make his series debut. Bit of a sore hip. And he pinch hits here for the pitcher spot. Segura swings and misses. Segura enjoying a resurgence at the plate, looking like the Gene Segura of 2013 when he was a National League All-Star for the Milwaukee Brewers. He had a ton of hits early in that season as well. He would end up hitting .294, slugging .423, and stealing 44 bases that year.
He's one of the rare guys that holds his hands that low, but still able to get on top and through the ball and keep his bat in the zone in a long time.
But his numbers dropped off in 14 and last year, especially the power numbers. And again, we talked about it last night with Weeks, who was Segura's double play partner in Milwaukee. If you're looking to breathe life back into your career as a hitter, Arizona's got to be near or at the top of the list. Colorado, yes. Arizona, right there. Into center field. Segura's got a hit. A pinch hit leads off the Diamondbacks 7th.
Yeah, most guys can't hold their hands that low and get on top of the ball and get through it. He somehow gets his hands at the top of the zone, able to get down through the ball and keep the bat through the zone for a long time. Kind of reminds me of Eric Davis a little bit. Used to hold his hands down there like that. Not quite the power, but the same bat path.
Eric Davis was a terrific player.
Oh, he generated so much bat speed and so much power for a guy that might have been 5'11", 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. Maybe.
Now Goslin. Here's what you were talking about.
See how low they are? They're right at about the letters on his shirt. His top hand is. And they just make a nice simple move, get up to the top of the strike zone and through the ball. A lot of guys can't do it. A lot of guys have to start high and able to accomplish that. He starts low, gets up, and then gets through the ball.
It's a big inning for Morris here. And if the Marlins can deliver this game into the 8th and get to Phelps and Ramos. Busted bat, good pitch. Dietrich spins, fires out there, and Echeverria wisely holds it. Nice play by Dietrich, who is a versatile infielder, but first base is a different animal altogether.
Oh, the footwork is different. You're playing with your back to the field sometimes when you're holding that guy on first base, but that's a nice feed. Echeverria does a good job taking his time, realizing that it's a good runner out there coming from the plate, and he does not risk that throw. We've seen Etch in the past try to make that throw and ends up going in the seats. The base runner still ends up on second anyway. Good job. Second play tonight by Marlins defenders not throwing the ball when there was no play there.
Now Jake Lamb, 2 for 2 with a walk. All those at bats against Jose Fernandez. That's camera 12 working double duty, shooting from the Clevelander through the glass. With a look at both Tyler Clippard and Jake Barrett. Look at that. Good work out there. That's Jay, who drew the assignment of camera 12. Yelich makes the catch. Now that's our bullpen camera, which is actually a robot. Jay has much more personality than the bullpen camera.
Recognize the bullpen pitching coach down there, Galvin Austin, used to pitch in the big leagues. He was around for a while, standing in the middle of those two pitchers. Caught up with him earlier today. He likes his young ball club. Galvin Austin had good stuff, man. Oof. Good fastball, nasty moving slider.
Goldschmidt, who was 0 for 3 against Jose with 2 strikeouts. Tapper and foul, just foul. Real Muto knows that Goldschmidt can run, and once it was up about 15 or 20 feet, the hope was it would get foul.
Yeah, and right there, you just go ahead and grab it. As soon as it clears the line, grab it. Don't give it a chance to stop because it might roll back fair. Catch that as soon as it crosses that line, pick it up.
So the count's 0-1. Miami's bullpen last night, 3 scoreless innings. Don Mattingly is hoping for 4 more scoreless innings tonight. Oh, 0-2.
Seen a different Brian Morris tonight. The slider looks hard and sharp. The velocity's back up, low to mid 90s. I like what I'm seeing out of Brian Morris tonight.
Oh, 2.
He absolutely sawed off Gosselin on that sinker in. Threw a couple of nice sliders to Goldschmidt.
One, 2. It's out. Miami, game over 500, trying to keep pace with everybody in the East. The Nationals crushed Kansas City 13-2. And now Washington is 19-8. The Mets shut out Atlanta 8-0. 2-2. Bouncer short. Echeverria quickly to second in time. And a nice inning by Brian Morris. So 2 scoreless from the pen so far. To the bottom of the 7th we go. Looking for another win. The Fish have won 8 of 9 coming into this ball game. The Diamondbacks on the other end of it have dropped 4 in a row and 6 of 7. In Arizona to their bullpen, Jake Barrett, who worked last night, takes over. He'll get Prado, Yelich, and Stanton. So good bats coming up for Miami. Bottom 7. We were talking about the East. Man, is it good right now. I mean, the Nationals with the win are 19 and 8. The Mets shut out Atlanta. The Mets are 17 and 9. The Phillies are shutting out St. Louis right now. The Phillies are 5 over at 16 and 11. There's a look. And the Marlins with a win can get to 14 and 12. Of course, the Braves really scuffling in a major rebuild mode right now. Atlanta 7 and 20. Tim Wallach in the ear of Don Mattingly. Wallach, the Expo great, bench coach to Mattingly in Los Angeles.
It's a lot of base hits in this ballpark, Rich. There's a lot of baseball talent that has been on the field in both these coaching staffs.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, obviously the Marlins with Bonds and all of his career numbers. Mattingly with all the accolades. Bonds was an all-star 14 times. Mattingly 6 times. Prado takes a strike from Barrett. Bonds won 8 Gold Gloves. Mattingly won 9. You got Matt Williams over there, who was a prolific home run hitter. In fact, had that 94 strike not happened, many feel that Matt Williams would have been the guy to break Ruth's record.
Possibly.
And he was terrific with the glove as well. Mark Grace is in there as well, the assistant hitting coach.
Yes.
For the Diamondbacks. Dave Magadan, Tampa native, is the hitting coach. Prado pulls a ground ball. And Lamb gets the out at first. And you go to the front office. There's a look at Gracie. You go to the front office. If you need a starting pitcher, you've got Dave Stewart. If you need a manager, you've got Tony La Russa.
Yeah.
So,
you got the Marlins front office, who've also got Conine, Tony Perez, and Andre Dawson.
It's pretty good stuff. All right, here's Yelich now. Yelich is 1 for 3, an RBI single in the 3rd. And Barrett zips in a fastball for a strike. And the Diamondbacks rotation has had its issues, but a couple of arms in the bullpen have been really good. That almost hit Yelich. And if the Marlins can stay away from Daniel Hudson and Brad Ziegler, then they're doing a nice job.
Went behind the back foot.
Hudson, really the setup man. His nails against righties. They're 0 for 22 against him this year. And Ziegler has saved 33 in a row going back to last year, which is a team record. So that's the back end of Arizona's bullpen, which you'd like to avoid. The Marlins would like to be able to trot out the back end of their bullpen. I was going to say their back end, but that wouldn't sound right. Here's the 3-1. Yelich, sharp ground ball, diving stop there. Goslin on his feet, just gets him. And Arizona's infield defense has been sparkly these first 2 nights.
They get good jumps on the ball. They cover a lot of ground, and they're very sure-handed. Ahmed robbed Yelich last night, and now the second baseman gets him tonight. That's a great play. Full extension, sets his feet, gives a good feed to Goldschmidt. With Goslin, Owings, Ahmed, Segura, Weeks, they've stopped out some of the better middle infield athletes / player talent in the big leagues.
Giancarlo Stanton doubled and scored, 2-run homer, and then was intentionally walked. And a fastball in. Stanton's homer, I believe, went right into that runway in center field where the service vehicles come in and out. Somewhere deep in the bowels of Marlins Park is that home run ball.
Some poor guy was unloading the cart out there and thought he was safe.
He's not hit 2 in a game this year. There's that little alley. Pitch is out. And it's 3-1. It's a strike. The numbers on Stanton's home run: 111 miles an hour off the bat, 436 feet, courtesy of StatCast. Got jammed and flips it to right. Drury is there, makes the catch. Marlins scoreless in the 7th. To the 8th, a 1-run Miami lead. Miami in the 8th. Our game summary, 3rd inning. Diamondbacks threatening. Brought to you by La Lechonera. And Jose Fernandez dealing. Pitched out of trouble early. And that gave his ball club a chance to get going offensively.
And then Big G steps up and does his thing deep to center field. Home run into the alley. Lifts the fish up. Who likes it? Fernandez likes it.
Stanton is 9th of the season. Christian Yelich also with an RBI single. Marcell Ozuna an RBI single in the 2nd. And Jose still in the dugout. He's been bugging everybody. He's worn out the rest of the starting staff. He's working right now on the reserves. And for the Marlins, the challenge: 4 innings out of their bullpen. Jose Urena and Brian Morris have each gone a scoreless inning. Here's Kyle Barraclough, and he misses in to a dangerous hitter, David Peralta, who homered against Jose in the 5th. Brandon Drury, Yasmani Tomas. Marlins have been going with Barraclough in the 7th, Phelps in the 8th, Ramos in the 9th. Tonight, Morris getting the 7th, and Barraclough here. in the 8th. There's your strikeouts per 9 innings. A couple Phillies on top of that list. Full count. Yeah, the Phillies now lead the Cardinals 4-0. The East is getting top heavy. Pitch is out. So a leadoff walk here in the 8th. Barraclough's going to have to pitch through that. Adam Conley, last time out, no hitter into the 8th in Milwaukee. And he gets the ball tomorrow. Lefty on the mound for the Diamondbacks as well. That would be Robbie Ray. Brandon Drury now infield, looks for 2. And a strike. Drury was at third base last night, right field tonight. He's walked, doubled, and bounced out.
So it's got to be tough moving from third base then going to right field. You know, he's had a few plays tonight where he looked really good, some not so good, but it's a tough adjustment.
You know, there are some minor league, some organizations that are starting to move players around in the minor leagues and get them experience at other positions. So when they get to the big leagues, if they've got a bat that profiles as a major league bat, it can be easier to find spots for them.
That has always been a hallmark of a Tony La Russa managed team.
And of course, La Russa, the chief baseball officer, and Barraclough gets a strikeout of Brandon Drury. What does a chief baseball officer do? Well, Tony La Russa is in charge of all things baseball. And he's got Dave Stewart, who pitched for him in Oakland, as the senior vice president and general manager. Bob Gebhard, a seasoned baseball man, is the assistant to the general manager and a vice president as well. Tomas. Tomas hit the ball to right, and it bounced off the base of the wall. And Giancarlo Stanton made one of the best defensive plays of the year. Barehanded it, wheeled, and threw a strike, and got him at second.
Well, we get so caught up in his power, we forget the strides that he's made defensively. Routes that he takes the balls, his throwing accuracy as well as his throwing power. He's become a good all-around baseball player, but the power is so tremendous that kind of gets lost.
Barraclough now with a 2-1 count. Two and two, 96 miles an hour. Barraclough out of Santa Clara, California. Breaking ball, right field. Stanton over towards the line. Squares himself, makes the catch. Nicely done. Just a little nuance for an outfielder in right. Get those feet around, get the shoulders around.
Just little simple things, little things that you do that make a difference. Good alert base runners will take advantage of a guy who has his back towards second base and just kind of coast into this. He works his way around the ball.
See him get his feet set, gets behind the ball. Now there's no chance for that runner to take off from first to second.
I always say this, it's his wide receiver skills that you see with the footwork, the angles that he takes in pursuit of balls. He must have been a bear to cover, because he was big and tall as a high school senior as a wide receiver.
Didn't he also play corner?
Yes, corner.
Now think about your average high school wide receiver that's trying to get off the line against that.
I don't know if he played man coverage.
Well, no matter where he's standing, he's so big he's covering somebody.
0-2 coming to Chris Herman.
I mean, as a parent, you got to think about having your kid change positions if he's going up against that guy.
Oh, 2 in the dirt. Kyle Barraclough pitched college ball at St. Mary's in Moraga, California. And one of the most famous Gales is in the house and works on the radio side for the Diamondbacks. Tom Candiotti, the knuckleballer, it's off the end of the bat. Now, Preston, you probably faced the dancing knuckleballs of Tom Candiotti.
I did. I faced him when he was a Dodger. I believe I hit a grand slam off of him in Dodger Stadium. He was also my dad's teammate in Toronto.
Pitch in the dirt. Tom Candiotti in the red polo there.
That was a nasty knuckleball, though. That thing was, when it was going good, especially if the wind was blowing out and he had some resistance to it. Oh, it was like a butterfly dancing in front of you.
He had a pretty good teammate at St. Mary's that played for the Phillies, Von Hayes.
Oh. He's the one guy who actually Yelich reminds me of, Von Hayes.
Yeah, we've heard that name before. 2-2 coming from Barraclough. Smoked into right. Stanton will play it on a couple of hops. Herman has a hit. Nick Ahmed is coming up. Remember, we talked about it last night, Arizona has an 8-man bullpen, which means a 4-man bench. They've used Gene Segura already. Chip Hale on the right. His bench coach Glenn Sherlock was in the middle. We talked about keeping Hudson and Ziegler in that bullpen. That's Hudson. So Barraclough trying to get through this 8. Ahmed going after the breaking ball. Ahmed, a light hitter coming in, average under 200, but he's done some damage. 3 homers, he's driven in 10. He has 2 RBIs in this series. The RBI double was in the 4th.
That's his heat right there. That's right by you. Here it is. Try and hit it.
Oh, with 2 with 2 outs. Peralta at second, Herman at first. It's 0-2. 23 pitches for Kyle Barraclough.
I like that pitch. I like the high fastball. You just blew him away with one. Throw one up in the zone. It's going to be even harder to catch up with. Now you have him set up for anything. I like the slider. I think that'd definitely be a strikeout pitch right here if he throws him the slider. Righties haven't picked up bear call slider where at all, but you still can throw the fastball here. But I like the slider.
0-2. Slider, bouncer, wide of third.
Just got to get it in a good spot. A little further down and away. It's a good spot.
Jose Fernandez was sharp early in this one, but the Diamondbacks got 3 runs against him, and by the time Jose was done with 5 innings, he had 99 pitches. So Jose Urena had the 6th. Brian Morris got the 7th. Barraclough trying to finish the 8th and hang on to a 1-run lead. Slider, he did not go. But on 0-2, that's a pretty good location.
Oh, that's where you want it off the plate. You want it where if he swings at it, he can't do anything with it.
One, 2 coming. And now it's 2-2. The ball strike ratio, pitch count 26. Leadoff walk to Peralta, 2-out single by Herman. And Nefi Ogando starts to throw in Miami's pen. Outside corner. He struck him out. Nick Ahmed caught looking, and Kyle Barraclough handles the 8th. Bottom half coming up, 4-3 Miami. Now for the Toyota Inside Look presented by the 2016 Toyota RAV4. Derek Dietrich. Dietrich and baseballs just are attracted to each other. 34 hit by pitch, 8th most in Major League Baseball. 103 as a professional. That includes minor leagues. And he had a big one last night, a key hit by pitch. In that 6th inning, the ball clipped him on the hand before it hit the knob of the bat. That was just before Ichiro's dramatic 2-run single. Here is Daniel Hudson, but importantly for the Marlins, he's on the mound and Arizona's down a run, not up a run. You see his numbers. Not much success for the hitters this year. Hudson misses out with a fastball. Dietrich tonight an 0 for 3. Now the lefty Robbie Ray starts tomorrow night, but indications are Dietrich will be in the lineup. There's a pretty good chance he'll be in the lineup. There's your relief ERAs. Kyle Barraclough. Look at Fernando Rodney shooting arrows with the Padres. And Hudson right at the knees for a strike. It's 2-1.
Still got that tremendous changeup, Fernando Rodney. Good fastball, but that changeup, guys have such a hard time picking it up.
Hudson really had to persevere through back-to-back Tommy John surgeries in consecutive years and reinvent himself in the bullpen. Last year an ERA of close to 4, and you saw his numbers this year. Full count, 3-2.
Did you hear Gibson just now? He couldn't figure out what it hit off. He said fouled off his feet, his thigh, or something. That's good stuff.
Gibson has had a good night tonight. We should go give him a Fox Polo for all the airtime he's had. Full count to Dietrich. Ozuna and Echeverria will get at bats as well. And this the bottom of the 8th. Miami looking for an insurance run. Flip to left, Tomas. There's an out here. I can't imagine having back-to-back Tommy John surgery. I mean, Jose, just watching him come back from the surgery and how hard it is.
It's not only hard, it's lonely. You're away from your team most of the time. Your rehab center's not always at the stadium. You don't travel with the team when they go on the road. You spend a lot of time by yourself when you're injured.
Ozuna takes a strike. Homers in 4 straight games. Ozuna's on that list. Stanton, Bohr.
Aesop Choi.
I can't believe that Jeff Connine's not on that list. He's seemingly on every list.
Yeah, you can.
This is true.
And of course, we should point out that the second man on that list is sitting next to me. Here's the 0-2. Ozuna to right. Drury is there and he makes a catch. Do you remember that 4-game stretch?
I do not. I don't.
2000. Preston right now on baseballreference.com trying to find those games.
You know, I need to apologize to Tom Candiotti because I thought it was him I hit a home run off of in Dodger Stadium, but it was not him. So I owe Tom Candiotti a wholehearted apology for saying I hit a home run off of him when I did not.
Was I accurate on the knuckleballer you hit? Was it Steve Sparks?
I have to find it. I have to find it. But I know I didn't see his name, so, you know, when you're wrong, and I got the wrong guy.
Ramos in the bullpen. So you're not looking for your 4-homer streak. You're looking for that
because, you know,
home run against a knuckleball.
I got some info, and I heard I was wrong, so I want to verify it and get it right and clear the air. You know?
Hudson to Echeverria. It's down low.
Sure, there's a whole bunch of guys out there who said they struck me out a bunch of times. You're probably right.
You know, one interesting thing about tonight in the Marlins bullpen, you wonder if David Phelps has the night off, because we haven't seen him. He did pitch yesterday.
Well, I'm looking with the naked eye down there in the bullpen, and I see Ramos standing up down there, so maybe he does have the night off.
Marlins went Urena, Morris, Barraclaw. You see him down there. 3-0 and a strike. But the important thing is that that trio has delivered the game to Ramos.
Yes.
In the ninth. AJ will have 9-1-2 coming up. You see the spots. Edge liner right field. Drury makes the catch. Marlins down in order. AJ Ramos will try to save it for Miami. Is a presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. There's your line score. Ninth inning has arrived. So has AJ Ramos and Chris Johnson. Johnson comes in the tandem with Ramos, and it's a double switch. So you'd expect Johnson in the 9 spot and Ramos in Dietrich's spot, although that's where he sits, so he's behind Stanton. Obviously Ramos is hopeful that doesn't matter, and he can get 3 outs here in the 9th and hang on to a 1-run lead. Ricky Weeks, who is a terrific pinch hitter this year. Weeks tied for the National League lead with 5 pinch hits. The Diamondbacks are second in the National League with 13 pinch hits, actually 14 because Segura had 1 in the 7th. Cardinals at 19 lead the league. No argument with Greg Gibson on that one. Yeah, you did. And you heard Ricky Weeks disagreed.
The disheartening thing about that, if you're Ricky Weeks, is he's asked on almost every other check swing all night, and then you get up there in a pinch hit appearance and you don't even get the benefit of asking.
Oh yeah, he said. What happened to? Did he go, Ed? Ball in the dirt. Ed Hickok at first base has been called upon a few times tonight. Weeks. There's Ed. Weeks last night was 1 for 3. There you see his pinch hitting numbers. 5 hits, 3 doubles. Ramos trying to keep him off base here. 1-2 coming. Breaking ball, got him. Froze him. A.J. Ramos has 4 pitches that he can throw, from a slider to a curve to a change to a fastball.
Front door slider. This one has a little bit more loop in it than that sharp one that he throws. Catches the front door, barely graces the inside corner. And Ricky Weeks has got to go home and think about it now.
Phil Goslin now. Goslin 0 for 3 and 0 for 8 in the series. And he fouls it back. Well, it hasn't been easy. Jose Fernandez, 5 innings, 3 runs. It was 4-3 at that point. And from Urena to Morris to Barraclough, now to Ramos. And when this is all said and done, if the bullpen holds it, Jose Fernandez might want to go to each locker and say thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Got him! Inside corner. Boy, Ramos sharp. He has struck out the first 2 he's faced in the 9th.
This is an absolute dart right here. He throws. Got the last guy looking on a slider, and this is just a fastball right down, sneaks inside. Good job of holding it there.
Wei and Chen enjoying it with Jose. Now Lamb, who has swung the bat well tonight. He's 2 for 3. And Ramos comes in the back door for a strike. He is not your prototypical closer that has a devastating pitch, whether it's a fastball, a slider, or a changeup.
He's just got a lot of ways that he can beat you and keep you off balance.
Slow tapper. Ramos has it. Ball game. And Miami stays hot. The bullpen delivers the win for Jose Fernandez. Ramos nails down another save. And Miami has won 9 of their last 10. They're now 2 games over 500 for the first time this year. Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers, is coming up. Big night for Giancarlo, 2-run homer and a double. Christian Yelich and Marcell Ozuna with RBI hits. And stellar bullpen tonight. In relief of Fernandez, Jose Urena, Brian Morris, Kyle Barraclough, and to finish it, A.J. Ramos. So another feel-good win, and whatever magic the Marlins found on the road, it's nice to see that they've bottled it and brought it here and unleashed it in Marlins Park. And so a 4-3 win here for A.J. Ramos, save number 9. Let's go down to Craig Minervini. Craig?
Thank you, Rich. A week and a half ago, Giancarlo, this team was 5-11. What's happened since then?
We finally woke up. Someone told us that the season started. You know, we've hit our stride, so it's been good.
Your pal A.J. Ramos has been in the middle of that. He got his 6th save in about 10 games tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we had to put him to rest for a few days. We were using him so much, so he's been lights out, and it's exactly what we need.
You know what else has worked for you, and we'll get to your hits in a moment. Marcell Ozuna last night hit the 2-run homer. You're on base. Tonight you get on base, and he comes through with a clutch hit to get you guys on the board. How big of a factor is Ozuna in the offense?
Everyone, 1 through 9. I mean, you can't rely on one guy to carry us or do something every night. So, and that's going to keep the opposition guessing too. It's like you don't know who to pitch around, who to, you know, what dynamic to go. So that's the biggest thing.
How about on your homer, your approach there, and a big hit in the ball game here tonight, obviously?
I get a fastball out over the plate. You know, I figured he's gonna mess around with some off speed a little bit more, but you always got to be ready.
You really look like you're tracking the pitch as well, and maybe that's shown sometimes in the ones that you don't swing at.
Yeah. I mean, the takes are just as important as the good swings or foul-offs, so it's all about a good at-bat.
Not only offensively, but defensively, Nicola had one of the big plays of the game. Just an outstanding throw. You took it perfectly off the wall, and does that sometimes feel better than a home run?
I love those. Not better than a home run, but you know, I love it. It's kind of like a race between me and the batted runner. So I always love it. Whether it's a spin around, you know, blooper over first base, or one of those. So I love it.
You're spinning around without looking at the target. You got it right there. You didn't get the.
I don't know. You got
get the call originally.
I know you always wanted originally, so now you got the highlight where he's safe. But who cares? It's the end result.
That's a good end result right
there we go.
All right, well, congratulations. Nice run for your ball club. 2 games over 500 is mild, but it's been a couple of years since then, as we have some visitors here.
Party came to me, so I need to get to it right now.
All right, let him get to the party here.
Go.
Okay, Mr. Pig is joining us. Nice group, and he said, I got to get to the club, which is the new spot for the Marlins guys.
There they go. That's a great scene. A team having fun. As Craig pointed out, I think they scared Craig a little bit there. As they pointed out, as Craig pointed out, for the Fish to turn it around after starting off so slowly has to be very satisfying right now. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. South Florida Honda dealers, Marlins Live is coming up. 4-3 Fish. Marlins have won 9 of 10.